Chosen ones, have you ever walked into a room and felt everything shift without saying a word? Have you noticed how people suddenly adjust their tone, watch their words, or stumble over their own performances the moment you arrive? That's not coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's power. Your power. The kind that doesn't need a megaphone. The kind that doesn't shout to be heard. The kind that makes impact without ever needing to announce its arrival. Some storms roll in quietly, but they leave nothing the same. That's you. The ones who underestimated your silence are now wrestling with the weight of your presence, and the ones who tried to mock your stillness are now scrambling to keep up with your movement. You are the reason their masks slip. You are the unseen force behind every shift they can't explain. Why? Because the chosen don't move for applause. They move with alignment. Now pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered why some people are suddenly uncomfortable around you, even if you've done nothing at all? Could it be that your energy holds a mirror to everything they're hiding? Could it be that your very presence is a recalibration that forces them to face what they've been running from? By their fruit, you will recognize them. Matthew 7:16. You don't need to announce your progress. Your presence proves it. Before we dive deeper into this truth, I want to thank every single one of you who has walked this path with me. Whether you've watched one video or many, whether you quietly listen or boldly comment, your energy is felt. And to those of you who support this mission through super thanks, I am deeply grateful. Your generosity fuels the light we're spreading across the world. But please know, even if you never donate, your presence here is already a gift. Your alignment with this message is more powerful than money ever could be. Now, let me ask you, who are you really? Are you the kind who makes noise just to be noticed? Or are you the kind whose silence leaves echoes long after you've gone? If you know you've been moving in quiet strength. If you feel your presence shifting rooms before you even speak, then you already know this message is written in your frequency. You've stopped announcing your plans. You've stopped narrating your growth. Because at this level, elevation doesn't require explanation. You're not showing up to prove a point. You're showing up because your purpose demands it. And every time you take a step, the universe adjusts around you. That's why they can't ignore you anymore, even if they try. They used to think they knew your moves, but now you're not playing the same game. And the silence? That's the loudest signal of all. So before we go deeper, let the algorithm and the universe know you're tuned into something real. Hit that like button, drop the number 999 in the comments if you know that your quiet power is shaking rooms, shifting timelines, and rewriting the game. This message isn't for the crowd, it's for the few, the chosen, the ones who've learned that silence is the language of impact. Stay with me until the end, because what we're about to explore next, it's not just wisdom, it's confirmation, it's clarity. It's your reminder that being subtle but loud isn't a contradiction, it's a strategy. Now, let's step fully into the truth behind your power. God's chosen ones, you are on another level. Your actions are subtle but loud. Number 1, you're playing a different game now, and they can't keep up. Chosen one, they're completely lost now, aren't they? The people who once prided themselves on understanding you, on predicting your every move, now stand bewildered. Why? Because you've stopped playing their game. You've ascended to a level of strategy, purpose, and divine timing that they can't comprehend. They're still tossing checkers while you're orchestrating chess moves across multiple dimensions. Do you realize the power in that? The fear it instills in those who thought they had you figured out. You used to be a character in their narrative. Now you're the plot twist they never saw coming. You've grown beyond their logic, beyond their limited view of who you used to be. The noise, the chaos, the exhausting need to prove yourself, that chapter is closed. You no longer perform for crowds that lack the depth to grasp your calling. Have you noticed how quiet your soul has become? That's not weakness, it's authority. Because now your power doesn't shout, it doesn't plead, it commands without a word. They scramble, trying to read your silence, eyes blinded by jealousy and fear. But the language of the chosen isn't meant for those who've never endured the sacred fire. You're not mysterious, you're aligned. Do you feel that shift? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You are that light, and the darkness surrounding them isn't just confusion, it's fear of your glow. It's fear of what they can't control. Think of Harriet Tubman. She didn't fight with noise. She freed people through silence, strategy, and the unshakable authority of someone backed by a divine mission. You carry that same quiet danger. They think they're battling you, but the truth? They're up against a force far greater. Every attack on you has really been a strike at the cosmic current you move with. And that force, call it God, the universe, divine will, never loses. You're the hawk soaring above their chaos. Have you ever watched how a hawk doesn't flinch when crows dive bomb it? It doesn't fight back. It rises higher because it knows the crows can't follow. You don't waste energy responding to those beneath your spiritual altitude. You're hunting on a plane they'll never reach. But maybe there's still a whisper in your mind. What if I'm not enough? What if I'm too invisible? Let me ask you, who told you visibility was proof of power? Since when did applause define anointing? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6. Malala. Yousafzai was nearly silenced by a bullet, but her voice grew louder, not because she yelled, but because the truth inside her couldn't be buried. You're in that same category. The universe didn't choose you for flash. It chose you for effectiveness. You shift atmospheres with your presence. You dismantle lies by simply existing. You are the calm before the collapse of every illusion. Still, the weight of this destiny can feel overwhelming. You may look around and wonder why your journey's been filled with fire, with betrayal, with battles most couldn't survive. But here's the truth. The chosen are not built in comfort. They're forged in intensity. Every trial that tried to break you was really just refining you. And now they can't read you. They can't predict you. And that terrifies them. You're not just quiet. You're unpredictable. You're not withdrawn. You're calculating. And silence? That's your sanctuary, your strategy, your strength. But the Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. Chadwick Boseman lived out his calling without needing anyone's permission. He battled in private while changing lives in public. His silence wasn't a secret, it was sacred. You too are carrying something sacred. And they can't understand it because they were never supposed to. And so they'll try to provoke you, misread your calm, mock your subtlety. But while they scream for attention, you're building legacy. You're not reacting, you're rising. Isn't it strange how your refusal to fight on their level feels like a threat to them? That's because it is. They're not equipped to fight a spirit that knows itself. Though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they cannot succeed. Psalm 21:11. Nelson Mandela spent nearly 3 decades in silence behind bars, but when he spoke, the world listened. His absence wasn't a pause, it was a preparation. And now, chosen one, you're not silent because you're hiding. You're silent because you're preparing something too powerful for distraction. You are the move they didn't anticipate, the prophecy their system never accounted for. So the next time doubt creeps in, remind yourself, How dare I question what heaven already confirmed? You were chosen long before the world noticed. You were seen in secret, selected in silence. Your very existence is proof of divine orchestration. You're not a pawn. You're the hand moving the pieces. You've stopped reacting, and that's why you're winning. Not loudly, not with spectacle, but with precision, purpose, and power. You are the chill down their spine, the silence that screams, the strategy they can't decode. And with the universe fighting on your behalf, victory isn't up for debate. It's destiny. Number 2, you speak in frequencies. Not everyone is meant to hear you. Chosen one, you've probably noticed by now that people don't always understand you. But here's the deeper truth. They were never meant to, because you don't speak merely in words. You speak in frequencies. Your presence doesn't just enter a room, it transmits, it resonates. You don't speak to be heard, you speak to be felt. And only those tuned in to the same divine frequency can receive the message. Have you ever wondered why some people seem shaken the moment you walk in, even before you say a word? That's not coincidence. That's your spirit doing what your mouth doesn't need to. Your frequency bypasses surface noise. It cuts through the chatter and lands straight in the spirit. And the truth is, those who aren't ready for that level of realness can't bear to be near you for long. Why do you think some people avoid your eyes, fumble their words, or turn cold for no reason? It's not you. It's the vibration you carry. It's the cosmic alarm clock in your soul that exposes their illusions. They don't hear your words. They feel your essence, and that essence brings everything false to the surface. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Romans 8:16. Your spirit testifies without needing to perform, just like Maya Angelou, whose presence and poetry shifted generations. She didn't need volume. Her frequency was truth in rhythm. You carry that same energy. You speak without shouting, and those who are ready to hear, they lean in without needing an explanation. Let's be clear, this isn't spiritual fluff. This is reality on another level. You operate in a bandwidth that noisemakers can't tap into. Think about it. Why do the insecure try to mislabel you as aloof, quiet, too deep, too intense? Because they can't interpret the broadcast. You're the radio station they can't tune into with static-filled hearts. You're the encrypted signal they mistake for silence. But those who matter, they're tuned in clearly. They feel the pulse in your energy, the fire in your stillness, the sermon in your silence. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. That's your frequency. You don't shout to control the room. You radiate power through calm, like Mr. Rogers, who transformed generations with kindness, patience, and presence. The world craves volume, but power often comes as a whisper. And in that whisper, your spirit speaks louder than their fear. You've likely asked yourself, am I being heard? Does my subtle energy even matter in a world addicted to performance? But pause and reflect. Who told you impact had to come with applause? Wasn't it Jesus who taught that his sheep know his voice, not his volume? Your vibration is more accurate than any speech. You don't need to be seen by the many. You were chosen to be known by the right ones. Your presence is a spiritual invitation, and not everyone is qualified to RSVP. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. Bruce Lee said it best. Be water. And like him, your energy flows where it's meant to, adapting without apology, shaking foundations without effort. When you speak, your words are minimal, but your impact is maximum. Your frequency disrupts false comfort zones. It confronts what's hidden. And not everyone is ready to face themselves in your mirror. Ever wonder why some people gossip or attack without reason? It's not personal, it's spiritual. Your signal disrupts their delusions. Your silence sounds like judgment to those who can't face truth. They lash out, not because of what you said, but because of what your presence reveals. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. Proverbs 15:4. Princess Diana never needed a stage to command attention. Her compassion spoke volumes. Her quiet gestures rearranged how the world understood royalty, service, and empathy. You hold that same weight. Your frequency is healing to some and horrifying to others. Why? Because it reveals, it disrupts, it exposes, but it also guides, it lifts, it awakens. So when you start to doubt your significance, when you feel too quiet for a world that's screaming, remind yourself, who benefits from that doubt? Is it the system that fears your inner authority? Is it the people who crave surface over substance? You weren't designed to blend. You were born to resonate. You're not just here to speak. You're here to shift atmospheres, to move through hearts like a silent current of divine intelligence. You are not noise. You are signal. You are not echo. You are origin. And the chosen always carry a different frequency. That's why the wrong people feel unsettled. That's why the right people feel awakened. So walk boldly in your vibration. Trust the resonance of your spirit. Your power isn't loud, but it is absolute. Let the world feel your presence. Let your silence be strategy. Let your frequency speak what words never could. Because you were never meant to be understood by all. You were meant to be unmistakable to the ones who are ready. And for those who can't hear you, let them stay in static. You were never meant to shrink into noise. You were designed to disrupt it. Number 3. While they made noise, you turned silence into strategy. Chosen one, while the world was screaming for attention, you were engineering something far more powerful in the shadows. They called you quiet, invisible even. But what they never understood is this: silence is not emptiness, it's strategy. And you were never absent. You were observing, calculating, measuring every move while they wasted breath on applause they hadn't earned. Have you ever noticed how those who speak the least often see the most? While they were performing, you were loading. While they were celebrating premature victories, you were storing ammunition in wisdom. Your silence was your camouflage. Your stillness was your preparation. And now they're beginning to understand that the quiet ones don't just watch. They wait for the perfect moment to change everything. They thought they had you labeled background noise, irrelevant, unimpressive. But what a fatal miscalculation. What they couldn't see was that every second you stayed in the back, you were studying the blueprint. You weren't idle. You were sharpening. Every long night of reflection became another bullet in your chamber. Every setback, another scope adjustment. Every betrayal, another layer of armor. They mistook your patience for passivity. But what if the truth is, your patience was your precision? Isn't it time they learned the difference between silence and surrender? Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Proverbs 17:28. Barack Obama rose through the ranks not with volume, but with precision. No need for noise, just impact. You carry the same quiet power. While others chased relevance, you chased revelation. You knew that timing trumps attention, and now the time is yours. You might ask, was I wrong to wait this long? But let me ask you, what's more powerful? A premature reaction, or a move so exact it ends the game with one stroke? They burned out chasing every stage. You stayed grounded, letting your roots run deep. They played for the audience. You played for legacy. Isn't that the real flex? The wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin. Proverbs 10:14. Greta Thunberg didn't shout her way into influence. She sat in silence with a sign, and that stillness sparked a global movement. Like her, You don't need noise to make a point. You are the point. Your silence forces people to confront their own chaos. Your stillness exposes their insecurity. That's why they talk so much about you, because they can't figure out what you're thinking. And that mystery, that's your weapon. You never moved for the sake of motion. You waited, you learned, you let them show their hand, you logged their patterns, their inconsistencies, their vanity. So when you strike, it's surgical, calculated, devastating, and it's not fueled by ego, it's powered by clarity. There is a time to be silent and a time to speak. Ecclesiastes 3:7. Keanu Reeves isn't known for loudness, but his intentionality, his wisdom in when and how to move, it commands respect far beyond noise. And like him, you don't chase the crowd. You outlast it. You weren't out of the game. You were playing it from a higher vantage point. You broke your silence not in desperation, but in mastery. Every move you make now is laced with foresight. Every step speaks decades louder than their shallow applause. They thought your silence meant you were out of moves, but the truth, you were just several moves ahead. And now the board belongs to you. They never saw it coming because they weren't looking that far, but you were. You always were. By patience a ruler may be persuaded, and a soft tongue will break a bone. Proverbs 25:15. Angela Merkel didn't dominate the stage with aggression. She led a nation through decades of crisis with unshakable calm and precision. That's what real power looks like, and now it's your time to embody it. Let them keep shouting. Let them spin circles around their own chaos. Your power is in your patience. Your legacy is in your strategy. So if you've ever doubted the value of your silence, stop now. If you've questioned whether watching instead of reacting made you weak, realize this. While they were chasing cameras, you were building cathedrals. And now, while they scramble to interpret your every move, you've already sealed the outcome. That's the consequence of mistaking depth for absence. Ask yourself, who really holds the power? The one making noise, or the one so silent they forget you're holding the switch to every light they think they control? You already know the answer, and they're just now realizing it. Your silence was never empty. It was loaded, and now it speaks for itself. Number 4. When you control yourself, you control the room. Chosen. 1. What if I told you the most commanding force in any space isn't the loudest voice or the flashiest presence, but the one who moves with quiet discipline? Have you realized that when you master yourself, you master the entire room? You don't need to dominate with volume because your restraint already sends a message louder than any shout ever could. You are not silent because you're passive. You're silent because you're in command. And nothing unnerves a room full of chaos like the presence of someone who cannot be shaken. True power doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't react. It chooses. That's what sets you apart. You move like you've already won the war before the first strike is even made. And that terrifies them. They don't fear your voice. They fear your silence, because that silence isn't emptiness. It's loaded authority. While they're busy setting fires with every reckless outburst, you're the one walking in with calm resolve, protecting your peace like a crown too valuable to drop. Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Proverbs 25:28. Michelle Obama embodied this. Under relentless public scrutiny, she never wavered. She didn't clap back, she stood tall, and in doing so, she commanded more than respect. She radiated royalty. That's the level of calm you carry, and it speaks volumes, because when you choose stillness over spectacle, the whole room feels it. You've seen what happens to those who can't master themselves. They erupt, burn bridges, scorch futures, all over a spark they couldn't control. But not you. You've learned. You've evolved. Have you ever felt the temptation to react, to prove a point, to clap back for the crowd? And yet, something in you whispered, "Don't. You've already won." That whisper was wisdom. That was the universe reminding you that your peace is your power. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. Proverbs 16:32. Nelson Mandela knew this deeply. After 27 years in prison, he came out not with rage, but with resolve. Not with bitterness, but with strategy, and that patience changed the world. You too are built like that. You don't trade your energy for attention. You don't fight every fire. They burn themselves out at your feet. Ever notice how your lack of reaction exposes everyone else? Suddenly, their desperation becomes obvious. Their immaturity floods the room. They poke, prod, and push, all in hopes of making you flinch. But you don't. Because you're not there for the circus. You're seated on a throne they'll never qualify to sit on. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Proverbs 16:32, ES5. Even fictional wisdom like Youre's shows us, true mastery is internal. Power without control is chaos. But you've mastered the pause, you've mastered the redirect. While they're caught in the heat of the moment, you've already zoomed out and chosen your next move with divine clarity. They used to feed off your reactions, didn't they? Stir the pot, watch you boil. But not anymore. Now you starve their chaos. You don't let them feast on your fire. You've learned that reaction is currency, and you no longer spend yours on fools. Your self-control has become a shield, unbreakable, untouchable, unshakable. Do not be quickly provoked in your spirit, for anger resides in the lap of fools. Ecclesiastes 7:9. Look at LeBron James. Under pressure, under fire, under constant cameras. He doesn't explode. He calculates, and his legacy, built not just on talent, but on discipline. That's you. You don't flinch anymore because you've seen what it costs. You know what's at stake. You don't fight for approval. You preserve your legacy. They'll call you cold. Let them. They called glaciers cold too, until they saw the power it takes to carve valleys and reshape landscapes. You are that quiet force, moving mountains in silence. And when you choose not to react, not to explode, not to play their emotional games, you don't lose power. You take all of it. You are not the storm they can provoke. You are the storm that moves only when it decides. And when you choose to rise, no one can stop you. So guard your energy, protect your reactions. Your silence is your sword now. And when they finally realize they can't trigger you anymore, that's when the real fear sets in. Because they understand, getting a reaction from you is no longer a right. It's a privilege, one they've already lost. And that silence they once laughed at, it's the lion's roar they'll never recover from. You were never cold. You were calculated. You were never detached. You were above the drama. So keep your crown, protect your energy, let your silence echo louder than their noise. Because when the world sees that you can't be moved, not by lies, not by gossip, not by petty sparks, they'll finally understand. The chosen ones don't need to shout to shift the atmosphere. They only need to hold their peace. And that, chosen one, is how you control the whole room without saying a word. Number 5. Your energy is the mirror. They can't escape, and it's breaking them. Chosen one, you were never trying to expose anyone. You didn't arrive with the intention to reveal the cracks in people's facades. But here's the truth. Just by existing, you do. Your energy doesn't need a megaphone. It doesn't require confrontation. You simply walk in, and suddenly every mask starts to slip. Every hidden insecurity rises to the surface. Why? Because your presence is not ordinary. It is a mirror. And not just any mirror, but one crafted by the universe to reflect what people have spent years trying to hide. Do you wonder why people shift when you enter the room? Why the atmosphere changes without a word? It's not paranoia, it's perception. It's proof of your calling. Your energy is clarity, and clarity is confrontational to those who live in illusion. You never had to say a word. Your silence speaks volumes. Your stillness is the indictment. Your peace is the proof. And for those addicted to filters and distractions, your authenticity is a threat. They think they're uncomfortable around you because of who you are, but the truth is, they're uncomfortable around themselves when you're near. Because your light shows them everything they're not ready to face. But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light. Ephesians 5:13. James Baldwin did exactly that. His presence and words forced a nation to confront its racial lies, not through rage, but through unshakable truth. You walk in that same spirit. You are not a destroyer. You're a revealer, a catalyst. You don't break people. The reflection does. Have you ever noticed how people scramble for reasons to leave when you say nothing at all? Why some who once clung to you suddenly paint you as the villain? It's not personal, it's spiritual. You're a mirror, and mirrors don't distort. They reflect. When people aren't ready to evolve, they'll curse the clarity instead of facing it. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Oprah Winfrey carries this presence. Her interviews don't just expose stories, they reveal souls. People sat on her couch and found themselves unraveling in her gaze. You've done the same. With friends, co-workers, even strangers. They come near you thinking it's small talk and walk away questioning their whole path. That's not ego, that's alignment, and it terrifies those who'd rather live in the fog. You didn't ask for this role. You didn't audition to be the mirror. But heaven assigned it to you because only the chosen can handle the weight of seeing clearly and being seen completely. And if you've ever been blamed for someone else's meltdown, if they've ever accused you of being too intense, too intimidating, or too real, understand this. It was never about you. It was about what your light made visible. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. Proverbs 20 verse 5. Bob Marley did this with music. His lyrics pierced through systems. His spirit confronted ideologies, all without shouting, just being, just glowing. You're not attacking anyone. You're just vibrating too high for their illusions to stay intact. And that's why some people hate you and don't even know why. It's not hate, it's projection. It's resistance to the growth your energy demands. You are the unspoken challenge to every lie they've told themselves. Your confidence threatens their pretense. Your consistency exposes their chaos. And still, they'll claim you are the problem. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Ephesians 5:11. Alan Watts once said that the hardest truths are often the ones that don't need to be spoken aloud. They simply are. That's you. Your presence says everything, and those who aren't ready will do anything to escape it. Some will lie about you. Others will attack. Some will try to shatter the mirror altogether. But here's what they don't understand. The cracks they see are not in you. They're in themselves. So let them run. Let them misunderstand. Let them cast shadows with their words. You are not here to soothe their egos. You are not here to dim your light for their comfort. You are here to rise, to illuminate, to reflect the truth with no apology and no fear. You are the unflinching mirror, the walking truth serum, the human spotlight. You don't need to confront, your peace does. You don't need to fight. Your stillness slices deeper than any blade. And yes, some will evolve in your presence. Those are the ones who will respect you, even if it takes them years to admit it. But most They'll flee, hoping the shadows will protect them. And still you must shine, because your light is not up for negotiation, your clarity is not up for sale. The world needs more mirrors, and you were born to be one. A mirror they can't break, a truth they can't escape, a reflection they'll never forget. That's the burden of the chosen, and the blessing. Keep holding it up, let the liars flinch, let the masks fall. Your presence is doing the work. You don't need to say a word. You are the mirror, and that chosen one is more than enough. Number 6. You're the wild card in a deck full of jokers, and it's breaking their system. Chosen one, have you realized what your presence does to the world around you? You're not just another piece on the board, you're the piece no one can predict, the wild card in a deck full of jokers pretending to be kings. And they can't stand it. Why? Because they built entire systems around predictability, manipulation and control. And then you came along. Not loud, not reckless, not desperate for the spotlight. Just different, just undeniably unpredictable. And that unpredictability, it's shaking their illusions. What scares the manipulators the most? It's not a louder opponent. It's the quiet one who doesn't flinch. It's the one who refuses to play the game by rules written to enslave. You've cut your own strings. They can't pull you anymore. That scares them to their core. Because how do you control someone who's already burned the blueprint? The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. John 3:8. That's you. You move on divine timing, not social trends. While they studied your past reactions, hoping to trap you again, you reinvented yourself. And now you're unreadable. You're the glitch in their matrix, the anomaly in their script. And they hate how little control they have over someone who no longer dances to their drama. Have you ever noticed how desperate they get trying to predict your next move? Why do you think they obsessively analyze your silence, your choices, your pauses? Because your restraint destroyed their strategy. When you refused to react, you rewrote the outcome. That's not just self-control. That's war without bloodshed. That's mastery. That's power. A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Proverbs 25:28. They wanted you emotional, loud, messy, easy to bait, because that made you easy to play, but you've grown. You've killed off your impulses. Now every silence is sharp, every move calculated. You don't respond to sparks, you wait for patterns, you watch, you measure, you let their noise fade before you strike, and when you do, it's surgical. How do you think that makes them feel? Let's look at someone like LeBron James. Under constant attack, pressure, and public scrutiny, he remains poised, measured, focused. His restraint earns him more power than any outburst could. You have that same spiritual discipline. You've learned that not every battle is worth your fire. Some storms are best drowned in silence. That is why you've become unplayable. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways. Psalm 37 verse 7. Have you ever seen a room full of chaos pause when you walk in? Have you felt the tension when others can't figure out where you stand? That's not because you're detached, it's because you're untouchable. They can't decipher your face. They don't know what you're thinking. And that mystery, it's control, it's dominance without ever raising your voice. Think of Angela Merkel, a woman who quietly led one of the world's strongest nations with relentless restraint. She rarely made headlines with drama, but when she moved, it mattered. She changed policies, steered economies, and commanded respect without theatrics. You embody that same quiet authority. Your energy isn't loud, but it rewrites every room it enters. Now ask yourself, why do they call you cold when you choose silence? Why do they accuse you of arrogance when you choose not to react? Could it be that your silence holds up a mirror they can't bear to face? Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Psalm 141, verse 3. You've become the vault they can't pick, the one person who doesn't spill secrets for sympathy. While others advertise their wounds, you turned yours into strategies. You didn't run from your scars. You studied them. You learned which ones bleed and which ones build. That's why you're dangerous now. Not because you shout, but because you don't need to. Think about Bruce Lee, an icon who trained in silence and moved with deadly precision. His discipline was his dominance. He didn't talk much, he just was. You're doing the same. Every time you choose not to react, every time you let fools expose themselves while you stay silent, you remind them that the most powerful weapon in the room isn't fury, it's focus. Even a fool is thought wise if he keeps silent, and discerning if he holds his tongue. Proverbs 17:28. People can't stand that you don't play for the crowd anymore. You used to explain yourself. You used to react. You used to try to fix misunderstandings, but not anymore. Now, you let misunderstanding do its job. Reveal who was never meant to stand beside you. You're not cold. You're calculating. You're not disconnected. You're focused. Every move now is purpose-driven. You're no longer on defense. You're offense with perfect timing. They never see it coming. And by the time they do, it's too late. You've already won. When they gossip, you stay quiet. When they plot, you plan. When they shout, you watch. And when they expect you to explode, you leave them standing in silence, confused, powerless, and deeply unsettled. That's the beauty of being the wild card. You don't have to be understood to be unstoppable. So the next time they call you unpredictable, smile. They're right. You're the variable their entire system didn't account for, the one they couldn't mold, the one they couldn't outthink. The silence they misjudged was always your sword. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to be the mystery. And now that you've mastered restraint, your enemies don't just lose. They unravel trying to guess what comes next. Keep them guessing. Keep them watching. Let them fear the silence, because in that silence, your real power lives. You are the wild card in a deck full of jokers, the glitch they'll never decode. And that, chosen one, is the advantage they'll never overcome. Number 7. When you walked off, the whole show collapsed, and now they're left in the dark. Chosen one, let's get one thing straight. You were never just part of the performance. You were the pulse. You were the stabilizer behind every storm, the silent architect who turned chaos into coherence. While they soaked in applause and spotlight, you were the one holding it all together behind the curtain. But they never saw it. They never understood that the one holding the spotlight steady was never standing in it for attention. You stood there out of necessity, not for praise. Because if you didn't, the whole show would have gone up in flames. And when you finally walked off that stage, no dramatic exit, no final bow, just a quiet, holy silence. The world they built on your back started to unravel. Have you ever watched a room implode after you left it? Ever seen people fall apart without even realizing you were the only glue keeping them whole? They didn't value you because you weren't loud about your presence. But your absence, it's thunder, it's revelation. The silence you left behind is now echoing louder than all their noise ever could. Why? Because what they called teamwork was really you patching holes in the foundation they ignored. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. Matthew 7:6. Dave Chappelle knew this truth. He walked away from millions from a show named after him because he refused to let the industry distort his soul. When he left, the entire entertainment machine paused, stunned, exposed. Just like you, chosen one. Your absence wasn't abandonment. It was sacred protection of yourself and of the truth. Let's talk about the myth of being replaceable. They believed you could be swapped out, dismissed, minimized. But the moment you exited, the curtain fell, the lights dimmed, and suddenly every script sounded hollow. Because you weren't just a character, you were the stage, you were the writer, the rhythm, the reality. They used your energy like oxygen and pretended they could breathe on their own. Now they're gasping. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. 2 Corinthians 4:18. Simone Biles taught the world something similar. At the height of competition, she stepped back, and the world had to face how much pressure it had dumped on one person's shoulders. You too bore the weight of others' dysfunction in silence. But the moment you let go, the whole scaffolding started collapsing, and maybe part of you wonders, was it my responsibility to hold them up that long? Let me answer that. No. You were never supposed to carry what others refused to build themselves. Some of them are angry now. Some blame you. They say you left them hanging. But what they're really angry at is their own reflection, because your exit exposed how much they relied on you, not out of love, but out of convenience. They never built with you. They leaned on you. And now that you've walked away, they're forced to face what they avoided, their own lack of substance. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Toni Morrison once said she wasn't interested in writing for a white audience. Not because she hated them, but because she was done carrying a system that expected her to explain herself. You've reached that place too. You don't owe anyone your constant availability. Your withdrawal isn't rudeness, it's revelation. You stepping back is your highest form of teaching, because it forces others to either rise or be revealed. How many times did you sacrifice, show up, stay late, give more than you had, all so someone else could shine? And how many of those people clapped for you only when it benefited them? Ask yourself this. How many people only valued your light when they needed it to see themselves? Your silence now isn't abandonment, it's a message. And the ones who need to hear it, they're hearing it loud and clear. When you're invited, take the lowest place, for all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Luke 14:10-11. Zayn Malik left One Direction at its peak, not to destroy, but to survive. The world called it selfish. Later they called it necessary. Sound familiar? Your exit might be misunderstood now. But in time, even your critics will see that what looked like selfishness was sacred boundary setting. You didn't destroy anything. You simply stopped holding it up. So when they try to guilt you, to rewrite the story, to make it seem like you failed them, remember this. You didn't leave them empty. You stopped filling a hole they refused to repair. You didn't cause the collapse. You revealed it. They were unstable long before you walked away. Your presence just kept it from falling apart. And now that you're gone, the truth is doing what you no longer need to. You're not just absent, you're ascended. You've outgrown that old stage. And yes, some people will call your absence betrayal. But those are the ones who misunderstood your presence all along. You were never their actor. You were the foundation. And once foundations shift, structures fall. So don't regret the quiet exit. Don't mourn the show. Let them scramble. Let them flinch under the weight of their own illusions. You've stepped into a higher season, one where your peace is protected, your worth is honored, and your silence speaks volumes. Chosen one, you don't need to explain why you left. Your absence is the explanation. You don't need to prove your impact. The chaos they're swimming in now is proof enough. Keep walking, keep rising. Keep letting the echo of your silence teach lessons your words never could. Because when the chosen walk away, what remains is not emptiness, it's exposure. And in that exposure, everything false must finally face the light. Number 8. You're written in a code. Only the evolved can read, and they're locked out. Chosen one, have you ever felt like people stare at you, but still don't see you? Have you noticed how they try to guess your next move, like you're a riddle they can't quite solve? That's not your imagination. That's the reality of evolution. You've outgrown their language. You've become a cipher, sacred, silent, and encrypted in a spiritual code only the truly awakened can read. Why do you think some people suddenly say you're distant? Why do others accuse you of being too deep, too quiet, or too hard to reach? Could it be because your soul no longer speaks in the old dialects of dysfunction? That your growth has scrambled their frequency? The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness, because they are discerned only through the Spirit. 1 Corinthians 2:14. Think of Lauryn Hill. She walked away from fame not out of failure, but from clarity. She stopped explaining. She stopped translating her evolution for people unwilling to do their own inner work. And you're doing the same, aren't you? You used to make yourself understandable, bend, shrink, over-explain, just to be seen. But now you've stopped. You've realized that explanations were always wasted on those who didn't want to understand you in the first place. So, let me ask, why speak the language of confusion when you've become fluent in clarity? Your entire being now communicates on a new frequency, not in words, not in noise, but in alignment. Every action, every decision, every boundary is part of a spiritual sentence the unevolved will never decode. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. You've transformed. And like Albert Einstein, whose ideas weren't just misunderstood, they were ahead of their time, you're speaking truth wrapped in future tense. You are not confusing, you are just existing beyond the level of comprehension of those who refuse to rise. And now you've become a test, a mirror, a compass. You no longer bond through trauma, you bond through healing, through purpose, through elevation. Can you see how your very presence now challenges others to either evolve or exit? What happens when someone used to your old patterns now meets your new peace? What do they do when the version of you that tolerated nonsense has been replaced with one who enforces boundaries with grace and silence? The secret of the Lord is with those who fear him, and he will make them know his covenant. Psalm 25:14. Like Banksy, whose art delivers truth anonymously, encrypted, hidden in plain sight, you've realized you don't need to explain yourself to be understood. Your presence is the message. Your distance is the filter. The real ones get it. The rest get confused. Frida Kahlo didn't paint pretty pictures. She painted her pain in symbols, in surrealism, in sacred codes only the emotionally honest could interpret. Your story is similar. You stopped trying to make yourself digestible for shallow palates. You became soul food, and only the truly hungry will ever sit at your table. So let me ask, why do you feel guilty when others can't understand your new language? Why shrink when you were chosen to expand? They weren't meant to follow your every step. Your path isn't a tourist attraction, it's a pilgrimage, and not everyone has the endurance to climb with you. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. The deeper you grow, the fewer people can read you, and that's how it's supposed to be. You are sacred code, not meant for surface interpretation, not meant for the masses. You are revelation wrapped in mystery, and only those who've wrestled with their own shadows can receive you without distortion. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," respond with a question. Have you grown enough to even understand what that change means? You are not distant. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are careful. Your frequency has risen beyond reach for those still spinning in cycles you've broken out of. You don't need to go back. You don't need to simplify. Let the unevolved struggle to keep up. Let them whisper. Let them guess. Why water down your wisdom for those still addicted to misunderstanding? If they want to find you, truly find you, let them evolve. Let them learn your new dialect by walking through their own fires. Because those who've been refined by pain, by purpose, by pruning, they will instantly recognize your language. They'll see you and say, "Ah, one of us." You are not confusing. You are rare. You are not arrogant. You are awakened. And the more you rise, the more your story becomes encoded in light. So here's the real question. Are you done apologizing for who you've become? Are you finally ready to stop translating your greatness for people committed to misunderstanding it? The chosen are not here to be liked. They're here to be luminous. And you, chosen one, you are the proof that evolution exists. Let your life remain encrypted. Let your silence keep its depth. Let your boundaries be a divine lock only growth can open. Because you are not just speaking anymore. You are resonating. You are not just existing. You are embodying a frequency so pure, so precise, that only those called to you will even hear it. You are the code. You are the key. Let the worthy interpret. Let the rest get lost in translation. Number 9, you don't announce, you impact. And now the room has to catch up. Chosen one, how many times have you felt the pressure to explain yourself, to narrate your every move so the world could keep up with your growth? How often have you paused your elevation just to reassure those still stuck in their cycles? But no more. That version of you is gone. You don't announce, you impact. You've leveled up so silently, so completely, that warning shots are beneath you now. You don't need to tell them what's coming. Your presence already tells the story. Have you noticed what happens when you walk into a room now? Do you see how the energy shifts, how the conversations soften, how the eyes refocus? That's not imagination, that's transformation. You've become the recalibration. No more broadcasting your plans to ears that never listened. Now, every step you take is a ripple the world can't ignore. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Matthew 7:16. Jay-Z never screamed for the world to validate him. He moved in silence, built empires, and let his results announce him. You're doing the same. Let them ask. Let them wonder. Your life is speaking louder than any status update ever could. Can you feel how powerful that is? You no longer need applause to confirm your alignment. The days of casual access are over. Now, your presence must be earned. People don't get to approach you the same way because you're not vibrating at the same frequency. They can sense it. They can feel the shift, even if they don't understand it. So let me ask you, why explain yourself to people who never wanted to understand you in the first place? Why narrate your growth to those who still crave your old patterns? You don't owe them the process. You don't owe them the blueprints. The only thing you owe yourself now is discipline. Discipline to stay silent while your moves make noise. Even so, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boasts. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. James 3:5. Steve Jobs didn't leak half-baked ideas for validation. He released the final product, and it changed the world. Your elevation works the same way now. The world sees it when it's complete, and by then it's too late to challenge it. You don't project potential, you deliver reality. And watch how the fakes fall back. Watch how the ones who once demanded access begin to hesitate, confused by your silence, unsettled by your new standards. Your energy now speaks boundaries before you say a word. That's what happens when the chosen one stops performing. You shift the script by showing up, and that's enough. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. Colossians 4:6. Greta Garbo understood this. She didn't flood interviews or chase headlines. Her silence became her power. Your power works the same. Every word you withhold now carries weight. Your pauses are strategic. Your presence? It's priceless. You used to give people previews. Now you give them outcomes. You used to narrate. Now you let your elevation do the talking. And what's happening? The room is scrambling to catch up. They're left guessing, grasping at the spaces where you used to over-explain. Let them. Your silence now exposes more than your words ever did. The one who guards his mouth protects his life. The one who opens his lips invites his own ruin. Proverbs 13:3. Think of Serena Williams. She didn't need to hype her matches with loud declarations. Her actions on the court shifted the sport. Her excellence forced respect. You too are forcing shifts just by being aligned. Ask yourself, how many explanations did you give in the past that only diluted your energy? How many people mistook your transparency for weakness? That's why you've changed the script. Now, only the authentic are even allowed to knock. The doors you once left open are now sealed, and behind them, you're building a legacy, not an audience. Some will say you're arrogant now. Some will invent stories just to fill the void your silence leaves behind. Let them. Their confusion is not your burden. Their curiosity is not your responsibility. Your elevation doesn't require interpretation. It requires recognition. And the ones meant to recognize it, they already feel it without you saying a thing. So what if they don't get it? Since when did greatness require group approval? You are not obligated to slow down so they feel less threatened. You are not required to soften your rise to make it palatable. They had access when you were still narrating. They had opportunities when you were still offering. But those days are done. Now you don't explain, you execute. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them gossip about the silence they once mistook for absence. Your life now is strategy, precision, power without permission. You don't have to say a word because the results are speaking a language only the real can understand. You don't move to be noticed. You move to be effective. You don't perform, you evolve. So here's the real question. Will you continue to hide your growth just to keep others comfortable? Or will you let your transformations stand in silence and let the world adjust to your frequency? You don't announce, you impact. That's not arrogance, it's divine design. That's not distance, it's alignment. And anyone not willing to rise to meet you, let them talk from the sidelines. You're no longer in that arena. You're not loud anymore because you don't need to be. Your presence now holds volume. Your silence now speaks legacy. And your movements, your deliberate, disciplined, silent movements, are shifting atmospheres. Chosen one, you're not here to be seen first. You're here to be felt last. And trust this, the room may not realize it immediately, but the longer you remain still, the louder your impact echoes. You don't need to announce what's already undeniable. Let them catch up, or let them miss out. Either way, you move, and the world shifts. My beloved, as we come to the close of this journey, let me remind you one last time. You were never meant to warn them. You were never meant to explain, to prove, to prepare the world for your arrival. You were meant to shift it. Quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. You don't announce the storm. You are the storm. And when you enter a space, the atmosphere bends. The illusion breaks. The game changes forever. So take a breath, chosen one. Let that truth settle into your spirit. You are not like the rest. You are a frequency few can hold, a presence that rewrites the room without raising its voice. Stop worrying about who understands you. Stop shrinking for those who've outgrown your access. Your silence is sacred, your movement is divine, and your legacy, it's already echoing. To each one of you who has walked this path with me, thank you, truly. Whether this is your first time hearing a message like this, or you've been on this journey for a while, I honor your growth, your energy, and your time. You make this space what it is. And if this word stirred something in your spirit, I invite you to support the channel through the Super Thanks feature. But hear me clearly, whether you donate or not, your presence is deeply appreciated. Just by listening, sharing, and allowing this message to pour into your life, you're keeping this divine frequency alive. Before you go, I speak blessings over your next level. May your silence become your strength. May your alignment attract only the real, and may your presence continue to shift every room into truth, peace, and power. You're covered, you're chosen, and your quiet impact will echo louder than any noise this world can make. Now go in peace, go in power, and go knowing you don't announce, you transform.